Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is March 24th, 2024, Season 3, Episode 84. Today, we're going to be talking about train heists, large nugs, changing chicken, migrating south, Paris mosquitoes, giant dolphin, avocado robot, electric automakers, ancient Kermit, and Stilt Village. I'm Mayor Watt, and up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI that's going to say hi, and then we're going to say bye as we go on to the articles, all 10 of them.
Hi and bye. Ready to move on to the articles.
Oh, everything's powered by ohmTown.com, which, well, that's the only intro I have right now. Hello, everybody. So, just a quick briefing on this. ohmTown.com is a news aggregation site. Reaches out, gets content from various locations, takes a little snippet, but doesn't screen scrape. It's all provided by the news sources. And we talk about it, largely without any... We don't read the content prior to our discussion.
We don't prejudge the articles.
Yeah. And so our reactions, call this like reaction news, but not reactionary news. So we usually have some type of familiarity with the content. And then we kind of add our own anecdote into it and make it more approachable, our perspective. Maybe different from yours. If you're interested in having a discussion, I can actually pull you into the stream, but you gotta let us know. Anyway, you can send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com. I get those. I review them regularly. If you're interested in being a host or co-host, even, do the same thing. Send an email. That said, we already have everything all set up, so let's get into today's articles. The first article is over on the Mobile channel. Somehow train heists, yes, train heists are just a part of doing business now. When I first saw this, I was just, what? But apparently in Southern California, there are train heists, and there's a particular region that they get heisted.
You know, I assumed this was in another country. I was still thinking this was a little odd, but I was really surprised that it was in the United States.
So there are a bunch of reasons that the ports in Southern California have seen a huge inbound freight uptick in recent years, including the buying habits of Americans and difficulties getting through canals like Suez and Panama. As a result, train freight exiting Los Angeles is also massively up. So this article talks about this. Bradley Brownell over at Jalopnik, actually, but it's posted by Quartz or QZ.com. I put the article together. Barely locked, hardly guarded, and extremely vulnerable train cars means heists are up. So, yeah. If you don't pay for anybody and you don't pay for security and they're abandoned on their way somewhere, nobody's paying any attention to them. You think that a train in motion might stop somebody, but apparently losing one's limbs isn't really something that they worry about.
That's not a deterrent when you've got lots of money on the line.
Sure. Or any money. When you have none, a little money goes a long way, right? It's all about survival. So there are a bunch of reasons that these ports have an uptick in train heists. For this reason, tend to target trains coming from the port of Los Angeles and Long Beach, and for a variety of reasons. This is the verbatim. For a variety of reasons, they're getting away with it. Because it's cheaper to write it off, I guess, than it is to spend $150,000 a year on a person sitting on a train. Train companies themselves, in a downward spiral of cost cutting and reduced personnel, aren't doing a very good job.
And responding to train derailments.
Right. Well, trains are allergic, and testing is very expensive, and sometimes they just have to jump track. Take an entire town with it. Because the need for... Oh, and by the way, there was a ton of marketing. And when I say ton of marketing, I really truly do mean a ton of marketing, because the freight industry touted the benefits of trains. So,
That's right, when all the port strikes and all of that were going,
and the cost
or
for
even
gas
before.
going up and everything, basically leading to people being told, hey, you know what? It only costs $8 or something like that for 100 miles worth of travel on a train, versus $50 for 300 miles or whatever. Like, I don't know. But anyway, there was marketing that was basically touting the benefits of trains. So everything shifts over to trains. Now, why is there these cost cutting measures and ignoring maintenance and security? If not for the pure greed of the profit margins necessary to fuel the demand by profit takers, instead of people having, I don't know, a rational. No, okay, I'm sorry, AI. I didn't mean to cause anybody to think. A rational judgment about how much profit I should have? Huh. Sure, 50% margin is great, but rational investing means a moderate tone in what the demand is for your return on investment. So why not just lower it? Why not accept? Everybody just accept somewhere around 10% margin. Prices remain low. The monetary system would allow people to invest money, have a future, and not be, having to decide if they can take their insulin medication so that they can eat. Salaries can
Mm-hmm.
be equivalent to the amount of product that they create or service that they create, but that's not it. The investors are demanding more, or they pull their money. And so a train company collapses because investors demand more profit, or they'll take their bat and ball and leave. So it is pure, unmitigated greed.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a really good example in here. It says there's two people on a train, for example, and then if the alarm goes off and they have to walk to the end of the train, by the time they get back there, the theft has already occurred. Like it
Right.
takes a long time to get to the end of the train, of course.
Yeah.
And
So
one
what?
person can't leave because they're the one, you know, steering the the train or watching to make
Yeah.
sure for obstacles or whatever.
They're mashing the button that says go or break, apparently.
Right.
It's I think it's weird that trains are I guess first off, they're not locked, they're unprotected, and that they have humans on them anyway. There should be enough detection capabilities and automation built in that the train hey, you know what? It's not like you have to worry about hitting the brakes because there's a curve up ahead. If you are automated and you know what the road conditions are, you're on tracks. It's not like you're going to make a sudden left-hand turn.
Exactly. Plus, well, given the number of incidents we've seen with human-led trains,
Yeah.
we might do better with automated.
Why not lock all of this shit down, get the humans off of it, and use technology to mitigate all of this harm so that you can focus on the safety and security of the tracks, maintaining them, stop being greedy bastards, and invest. But I bet you if I look up the latest train company record profits, I'm willing to bet if it wasn't for all of the screw ups, it would be even greater, record profits. But I haven't done that due diligence, so I'm making somewhat of a off the hip response. But I'll do the due diligence after the show, and I'll go and look and see what their profit margins are. We'll just grab a random one and we'll end up talking about it again. Why? Because between airplanes and trains, they're all, oh, wait, trains, planes, and automobiles. Huh. Yeah, they're all a little out of the
Okay.
line.
Well, wait a second. How about Norfolk Southern? Just
Sure,
because we've been talking about them so much.
sure.
Annual gross profit for 2023 was over $8 billion. That
That's
was a
profit.
decline, but they
Oh,
did have a lot of incidents in 2023.
yeah. Like well, not them alone, but there were 2,000 train derailments in the
Yeah.
previous year, over 2,000. So I have, this is pure greed, unmitigated greed. So no, this isn't because there's some complexity in this. It's because they don't want to share. They don't want to lower prices so that people have money left over. They don't want to spend money on the safety and security of any of this except for the checking the box. Did you do this? Yes. Did you do this? Yes. But nothing above and beyond what is literally mandated by some organizational body, a union perhaps. And even then, they will spend countless hours in negotiation instead of going, Jesus, 8 billion in profits. I think we could spend $1 billion and, save the countless issues. But no, it's because investors are greedy bastards. So anyway, here you go. Somehow train heists in the 21st century are still a freaking thing.
Yeah, I didn't even know those were happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let alone so common that
I had seen something about this.
Every day.
Yeah, exactly. I had seen something about this, and then I was like, oh, huh. I wonder if ohmTown has something in it today. And sure enough, it had grabbed that little snippet is what was given by Quartz. So okay, let's keep going. So the next article, didn't scroll up. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Treasure hunter using a faulty metal detector discovered England's largest gold nugget worth $38,000. By the way, just before we get into this article, we're going to be having ohmTown Daily News Show. That's right now from 6 until 7:15-ish probably. And then at 7:30, we're going to have the continuity report, and that'll go until 8:30. Roughly. If I can get it a little bit shorter so that we can get back on time, then I'll do that. Then we have Technology Today, so 8:45-ish. And then around 9:45, 10, we'll have Four Wheel Tech. That's our brand new show. It's the second for this weekend. Yesterday we had Warcrafters, which is about gaming. But Four Wheel Tech is about the automotive industry and technology merged together. We typically have a tech theme, but let's get through ohmTown Daily News, and maybe we can pull some of these shows earlier. Should have started at 5, but Mayor Watt was running behind. Anyway, so this $38,000 nugget, I swear, if you just walk around England with a metal detector, you're going to find something. Either Roman ruins, or you're going to find something, a hoard of coins. But this is just a nugget. So a metal detectorist found what he believes to be the largest gold nugget ever found in England. Despite arriving late and using faulty equipment, he found a 64.8 gram nugget within just 5 minutes of setup. The find comes amid a rise in the popularity of hobbyist metal detectorists. And the article's over at Business Insider. Aliyah Shoaib is the author. I believe I'm pronouncing their name correctly. If I'm not, send me how to pronounce it phonetically, or we can have a conversation if you are Aliyah. So that's what it looks like. Gold nugget, nicknamed Hero's Nugget, weighs 64.8 grams. It has zero framing to let you know how big this thing is, right? There's no measuring
Yeah, it would be nice
device.
to see something next to it for scale.
Yeah. A banana, for instance. A banana for scale. Or maybe a school bus. How close?
Yes, I mean...
Yeah. In relation to a Chinese surveillance blimp, or balloon, which is a direct relation to 3 school buses, How big is this 64.8 gram gold nugget? By the way, the price of this would be different depending on which year it's found in. So I never really care about the money, but the size of this actually matters. If they don't sell it right now for $38,000, it could be worth much more in the future.
Absolutely. And plus, I mean, they're using probably an old metal detector. It maybe costs a few $100s if it's a nice one. Like, it's just interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that shows that talk about walking around and finding history in England and in other countries. But England has a massive amount of history embedded in it, under it, where it survived Roman rule, and then people cover it up, everything, and so you'll find Roman ruins underneath farmland. It's fascinating. You'll find a gold hoard or a coin hoard. They actually call them hoards, depending on the size. Sometimes it's cash, sometimes it's a hoard. But in any rate, I think it's amazing. And I've always wanted to go to England and just walk around with a metal detector to see. People in their front garden will find a part of a Roman ruin, and the local community will gather around and go, okay, let's get somebody out here, and they'll dig up stuff just to find more information about it. It's pretty amazing. So Brock, who had traveled 3.5 hours from his home to join the organized expedition last May, resorted to using an older faulty machine after his detecting kit failed to work properly. However, within minutes of setting up his equipment, he uncovered the large golden nugget, which had been nicknamed Hero's Nugget. Quote, I actually arrived about an hour late thinking I'd miss the action, per the press release. And it says developing technology has fueled interest in metal detecting. What is the name of the show? I actually subscribed to it.
Time Team?
Yeah, I think Time Team. Time Team was really, really popular, and then it went out of, I guess, interest, fad. And then it was resurrected through a concerted effort to draw attention to the history and the historical significance of everything that's underneath England and the UK in general. And Time Team came back. They started posting their videos over on YouTube, and they started a Patreon. You can actually be a subscriber to them or a patron. I am. And so I think that its popularity is also leading to this, because I can almost guarantee you the local community that went hunting for this knows about Time Team. So let's go through this article. It says the nugget has been estimated between $30,000, $38,000, $40,000, $50,000, you know. And they say that Brock believes it's the largest in English soil. The previous largest weighed 54 grams, according to The Guardian. So this was actually sourced from The Guardian. But the hobby has been growing in popularity in recent years, with one metal detector maker, Mine Lab, reporting 2020 that it sold 30% more than the previous year, which had increased by 18%.
I wonder how many of those purchases are directly attributable to shows
well,
like Time Team.
Funny you mention it. It says the pastime even inspired a hit comic series in the UK called Detectorists. And it says you feel like the centuries of people before you, and you're just here for the amount of time, then you're gone. It's quite grounding, Simon Beresford, who discovered the hobby during the COVID lockdowns, told Time Out magazine. Let's see what else. No, they don't really have anything else. The article ends, but I find it really interesting. They don't mention Time Team, but Time Out magazine in February has this Simon Beresford statement about starting it up during the COVID lockdown.
I guess that would have been a good hobby during that time, right? You're typically doing that by yourself.
Out
Probably
away
most
from
people were indoors.
Yeah. The thing about it is you do have to be careful. You can't go into other people's property, and even if you do, and you find something, you still have to share it with the people. And depending on what its historical significance is, you have to share it with the state, whatever the state may be. So let's keep going. This next article is over in ohmTown Daily, and I think hell is freezing over, or I'm not sure what, which is ironic since this is coming from Chick-fil-A. But anyway, Chick-fil-A changing its chicken sparks backlash. Fast food chain has announced that it will soon allow certain antibiotics to be used in the chickens it raises, citing supply issues. The article's over at Newsweek. Khalida Rahman is the author of this. There's a video that's attached, but I didn't watch it.
And it doesn't seem to be related to the article.
It just seems to talk about fast food in general. So let me throw this, before I go into the article itself, let me throw this into the chat. So, Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico will transition from chicken raised with no antibiotics ever to chicken raised with no antibiotics important to human medicine, starting in the spring of 2024. And that's kind of like saying, no, I totally don't do that, and well, if you have to tell people that you totally don't do that, then there's a good chance that somebody suspects that you do that. This is no, our chicken doesn't have antibiotics ever. Now you're having to go, really? How do I educate my customer on no antibiotics important to human medicine?
That concerns me because that sounds like, well, we don't use it in human medicine, right? But maybe it's not used for specific reasons, or we don't know what it does, or
it's almost right? Like you're like, no, I want antibiotics that can be used with humans if it
exactly
it means it's safe for humans. What is the stuff that I'm ingesting?
Exactly. A little bit of plastic. Plus, there's two things that I think are a problem, because not only are humans then potentially ingesting antibiotics, but they're also ingesting potentially whatever caused the underlying illness.
The ick. Yeah. The move is intended to maintain supply of the high quality chicken you expect from us. Well, I expected chicken without antibiotics. So let's see. It had done this since 2014, fulfilling the promise in 2019, and now it's shifting back to and the move is intended to maintain supply. So I guess are things really falling apart that much?
I don't know. The poultry industry has really not been doing very well in the last few years
because of bird flu. Yeah,
correct. I don't know if this is directly related to it, but
it would have to be. Why would you make such a change if the industry is actually okay? Now, if they're talking about supply chain as this is the problem and not profit margin is the profit is the motivation, then I have some sympathy. But if it's profit margin and pleasing investors, so you're poisoning your customers, and arguably,
right, but you could get healthy chickens or whatever if you paid 1 cent more or whatever,
or 10 cents more, whatever, right? Yeah, lower your margin by 5%, and we're talking about profit margin. We're not talking about net profit.
Revenue.
We're not talking about gross profit. We're talking about net revenue. We're talking about after everything is done, right? Profit. We're talking about profit. Okay, that's all I can really say about this, because I'd have to do some more digging, and we don't do it live. So the next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Almost a third of Australia's plant species have to migrate south if we hit 3 degrees of warming. We're trending towards that anthropomorphic global warming.
Okay, now if this was animals, that would be alarming, but it's a little more alarming as plants.
It's kind of tough for plant species to migrate south.
Exactly. I'm like, they can't just stand up and walk to a different location or something.
Hey, Joe. Yeah? We gotta head south. It's getting too warm up here. Well, I've set down roots, buddy. I'm gonna stay here for as long as I can. You like that? You like that? I've set
I
down
do
roots.
like that. That was a good
Analogy or whatever you want.
pun.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, for ecologists, one of the most pressing questions is my voice is going already. Questions is to understand how ecosystems will change or adapt to the climate changes rapidly. Well, now we know. Plants are talking to each other and saying we got to head south. We are already seeing many species of plant and animal moving uphill and towards the poles in response to higher temperatures. It's very likely most species will have to track their preferred temperature niche. Okay. Wow. Plants?
This is interesting. I mean, I know that some of the plants, of course, move through natural, right, pollination or,
Right.
seed being put somewhere else by a bird or something. But it does sound funny with the plants having to move.
Yeah, I find this really interesting. Julian Schrader over at The Conversation, again, theconversation.com, but it's posted at phys.org. It says here, but what's strange is that many species can survive in much broader temperature ranges than their current distribution suggests. We don't yet fully understand why temperature affects ecosystems so strongly. Why wouldn't you? Heat in general is the bane of existence. If anything gets too hot, it's very difficult to cool. You can warm up if you're cold. That's much easier, but cooling off is a different animal, apparently plant. To shed light on the puzzle, the new research used the current range of Australian plants and calculated each species' minimum and maximum temperature preferences. The data told The Conversation how many and what percentage of species are lost or gained when transitioning from, say, 15C to 16C average annual temperature. And apparently the results were astonishing. There's a whole lot more to this article. I'm not going to go through all of it, but it says in Australia's wetter east coast, you gain on average 19% more species and lose 14% more species when moving up the temperature gradient by 1C. In the dry center, you gain 18% of species and lose 21% of species for every extra degree. So a net negative of 3. Which per degree. So if we bump up, then you're going to lose quite a bit. That's at our current climate. What will happen if the world warms by 3 degrees, which we are still heading towards? There's a link to the ipcc.ch report. So what does it mean? What our data shows, even slight natural changes in temperature have an effect on the species occurring in different regions. And that's almost like kind of no shit news. The climate heating up rapidly.
Right, it's not good, but we're certainly well aware of it from other news articles.
Yeah, exactly. 2023 was the first full year Earth was at 1.5C hotter than the pre-industrial era, so it's entirely anthropomorphic. We are making the world hotter. As temperatures rise, staying put no longer be possible. More and more species will have to find themselves a more preferred temperature niche because they're falling out of theirs. But the evidence so far suggests species will move if they can, and really the only way for plants to move is by way of seeds. So survival of the fittest, they'll relocate or they'll go extinct. And I suppose more plants will go extinct than animals. Some species can disperse better and over longer distances between habitat fragments. They can also, it says, for instance, species with winged or airborne or windborne seeds are better dispersers. Those that can survive consumption in animals and then deposition wherever the animal goes, they'll survive as well. And they basically have a little nutrient pod to exist in. So it says that our plant species have found their climate niches over millions of years. What our research suggests is that climate change may force a surprising amount of plants to move. Good luck.
I wonder if they're going to use things like the seed bank for issues like this. I mean, they can't probably put every plant in the world in it, but I do know that they maintain seeds.
I believe that is the goal, though, of the seed banks, to store enough seed to repopulate should something catastrophic happen. But you have to know about it, you know?
Well,
somebody has
and
to
we don't
gather
even
enough
have a
of it.
lot of those cataloged, right?
Yeah, somebody has to gather enough of them. They have to identify them. We don't even know what's on the planet, let alone be able to gather enough of them to catalog them.
And of course, the better solution, right, would be to
Stop the
reverse
heat.
climate change.
Yeah, stop the heat generation. But we're pumping up crap all over the place. And concrete is actually one of the biggest offenders. So it's one of the reasons why a product that I want to launch hasn't been launched, because I can't find an effective way to, even like the scale that I'm talking about would do nothing.
Like,
But I still
not
have
with
this
any
dilemma.
scale at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, carbon offset and whatnot, perhaps, but I'm still, again, it's a net contribution to by creating this product. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Race is on to make Paris Olympics mosquito free. Mosquito.
I mean, are they checking the mosquitoes for tickets at the
Yes.
entrance?
Yes, exactly. It's like Disney, right? You have that little bracelet. And
Right.
Yes, you're allowed in. France is scrambling to make sure the virus-carrying tiger mosquitoes, a growing menace in Europe, don't spoil Paris Olympics for athletes and fans, with millions of visitors due in the French capital for the Summer Games. I don't remember any other Summer Games talking about mosquitoes.
Nor do I, but I'm also imagining that tiger mosquitoes weren't necessarily a problem in prior summer games. Like, maybe it's a climate change issue.
Oof. They don't look pretty. Well, I mean, if you're a mosquito lover, then beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Or eyes are all over a beholder, but that's D&D. So the Asian tiger mosquito has made its home in much of northern Europe, including France, over the past 2 decades. It's very new, apparently, spreading diseases such as dengue, chikungunya, that's a new one to me, and Zika, which we've heard about Zika before, and dengue, but chikungunya, I don't know what that is. So
And I just checked real quickly to see, like, the last time the Summer Olympics were in Europe was in 2012 in London. So that might have not been an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, mosquitoes probably don't want to hang out up there. So climate change is said to be behind the easy adaptation to colder climates, with authorities recently declaring Normandy in the northwest the last remaining mosquito-free region in all of France, infested just like the rest of the country. Wow. I like their statement.
So it's not just the tourists, it's the actual, they're concerned about it for the athletes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you're sick with dengue, you won't be jumping over hurdles, said Didier Fontenil, an entomologist and expert on vector-borne diseases. The host cities, and especially the Olympic Village, must be kept mosquito-free. I like saying it like that. Makes it more fun. So, health authorities have promised increased surveillance of the mosquito threat, which has been notoriously difficult to eliminate. Yeah, I mean, some countries have basically survived with it by putting up mosquito nets, or now they're actually launching mosquitoes that have had vasectomies.
Right, they're trying to basically breed it out, right, of the mosquito population.
Yeah, just kill them because none of the mosquitoes can, do the mosquito
I think
dance.
they're sterile.
Yes,
Sterilized.
that would be a more professional term. Not quite as humorous, but when two mosquitoes meet, sometimes they fall in love and you get little mosquitoes. Because there's like a mosquito stork that delivers them.
Most definitely.
It's really gross when you think about it because they drink blood. I'm not going to go there. Anyway, I had actually something pretty funny in my head, but for me to say it, it becomes not funny. So I'll just move on. If you want to hear my jokes, become a Patreon. No. So the next article is over in Technology Today. 16 million years old, giant dolphin discovered in the Amazon rainforest. I didn't even read the snippet of this. I had to just grab it and throw it into our rundown. Measuring between 3 to 3.5 meters, 16 million years old, paleontologists from the University of Zurich have announced the discovery of a new species of dolphin.
I didn't even know there were dolphins in the Amazon to begin with.
Exactly. University of Zurich is where it's from. SciTechDaily.com is where it's sourced. Yeah, this is pretty wild. They have announced the discovery of a new species of freshwater dolphin in the Peruvian Amazon region. Surprisingly, its closest relatives can be found in the river dolphins of South Asia. Okay.
That's a long swim.
They took a flight. So river dolphins are amongst the rarest modern cetaceans, with most extant species critically endangered. Despite their similar appearance, however, these animals are not directly related, but represent the late survivors of different cetacean groups that once inhabited our planet. Okay, first off, I had no idea that there were river dolphins, and to find them in like two polar different locations is really spectacular. Yeah, okay. Changing landscape drove giant dolphin to extinction. I don't know what they're doing. Oh, they're getting samples during the 2018 expedition to the Napo River where these were found. Much of the Amazonian plain was covered by a large system of lakes and swamps called pebas. This landscape included aquatic, semi-aquatic, and terrestrial ecosystems like swamps, floodlands, etc., and stretched across what is today Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, Peru, Brazil. Pretty neat. Yeah, finding sheds light on the evolutionary history of freshwater dolphins. We discovered that its size is not the only remarkable aspect. With the fossil record unearthed in the Amazon, we expected to find close relatives of the living Amazon river dolphin, but instead, the closest cousins of Pebanista are the South Asian river dolphins, genus Plantanista.
I mean, while that's kind of surprising, I guess it makes a lot of sense because how many locations have rivers that are even palatable for dolphins to live in?
Capable.
It's got to be a pretty decent sized river, I would think.
Yeah, they're like 9 to 12 feet tall, right? Or long.
Mm-hmm.
The holotype, a single physical specimen in which the description and name of the new species is based, of Pebanista, was found in 2018 when the lead author of the study was still an undergraduate student. The expedition, led by Peruvian paleontologist Rodolfo Salas Gismondi, former postdoctoral fellow of the Department of Paleontology at UZH, traversed more than 300 kilometers of the Napo River. Man, fundamental science is time consuming, and when it's trying to find something like a river dolphin, for crying out loud, you almost have to swim right up to it,
Yeah, I was gonna say, in the Amazon, I think there's a lot of animals you might be on the lookout for, but dolphin is not one of them.
Yeah, I'm looking everywhere.
Like up in the trees for snakes or
Yeah, maybe
watching
on the
for wildcats that might come up and eat you or
alligator or crocodile or something like that. But
Mhm.
woof. A little river dolphin that's 12 feet tall, long. I keep saying tall like it's gonna walk up to me with a top
right
hat.
on two legs or something.
How you doing, Merwat? Wow, river dolphins. There you go. The next article is over in the mobile channel. Chipotle is planning to use an avocado peeling robot to give customers consistent portions, the CEO
Okay, do
says.
you think this was maybe prompted by the food theory episode?
Wouldn't that be interesting if it's mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so burrito bowls at Chipotle may start to look drastically identical thanks to artificial intelligence. If they're going to start automating this, it's really going to mess with people. I mean, if it's still people at the thing, the portions that are delivered to the bins might be automated, but
Oh,
there
I
are
see.
people
Yeah.
doing the scoops, so they can still be gamed, right? So the you'll have to go and look at the Chipotle food theory over on YouTube. So Francisco Velasquez over at QZ.com or Quartz.com put the article together. The company's chip making robot Chippy was too cumbersome to clean, apparently. So maybe they're not going to use Chippy anymore, but they're going to use an avocado peeling robot to give customers consistent portions, according to the CEO.
They're like, we are going to use a robot in some way in our food line here.
That's right. Yep. Look, it's going to happen. Embrace it. So Brian Nickel, and if I could have a nickel for every machine that Chipotle is going to buy. Anyway, Chipotle CEO said the company is testing a guacamole prepping robot, and it's seeing early results. You have to say guacamole like that. It's so much fun. Let's see. Definitely a future for where it can be a lot more accurate in giving people consistent portion sizes. So they're talking about the robot delivering the portions. So the human is gone? Whether it's double
Yeah,
guac
so
on the
then
side?
how are you going to ask for extra
Anything.
rice or whatever ingredient?
Oh, you're never going to get it. The fast food wars are going to be powered by AI, and Taco Bell is still going to win. In July 2023, Chipotle began testing the Autocado. Autocado.
That's a cute name.
A robot, essentially a robot that could cut, core, and peel avocados. In March 2022, Chipotle deployed Chippy, a tortilla making robot. Apparently, it was too difficult. The biggest challenge was the cleaning of it. It just became way too cumbersome for the team to clean. Why would it be difficult to clean? I mean, wouldn't it be like two rollers?
I would think so. I don't think it would be very complex.
Right? You roll it, it chops. I mean, the slap chop did it. No, sorry, we just watched that commercial the other day because I had dropped that phrase. You're gonna, never mind. Anyway, the Avocado robots are not being deployed just yet. Nickel said, but they noted the company that it's already on our third or fourth prototype. So who knows? At some point, they're going to deploy this thing and it's going to completely crap out and we'll be back to humans again. The company has an estimated 3,400 locations and still hasn't discovered where the listeria came from, but their stock is amazingly priced. How much do you think Chipotle stock is worth right now?
Well, I would have said about $10, but I think we were discussing this outside of the show.
Yeah, and they announced a 50-to-1 split. Did I just hear something? Where is it? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull up this article. Anyway, just so you know, it's actually declined in the last day, $23. So if it was at $100, it would have lost nearly 25% of the price.
Oh, okay. But because there was a split.
No. You said you would have guessed the stock price was $100.
I said $10.
Oh, $10. I thought you said $100. So it would have collapsed if it was $10, but it's $2,882. Yeah,
Which doesn't
Chipotle.
even sound possible because that's well above companies that aren't in retail or restaurant, which I think have been taking a pretty big hit. But
Yeah. So, um, one of the other things that I had mentioned was that it had done a stock split. The AI said that as well. It's doing a 50-to-1 stock split. So if you have one share of Chipotle stock, it will now be 50, and the stock price will drop commensurate with that ratio. And it's to attract investors because they're going to release more shares guaranteed at this lower rate, and they're going to make more money so that they can expand operations or do something else. I'm not sure. The research into the chippy, they got to recover that money somehow. Anyway, the fast casual chain is planning to open between 285 and 315 new stores, and that right there is, I'm surprised that they didn't talk about the stock split in this, because that just happened, or that's just what they announced. The investors have already approved it, so that's going to happen, and this is why right here. They're going to spend that money to expand operations. Yet I still don't know where the listeria came from. Let's keep going. So the next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Every electric car loses $6,000 for automakers. Automakers across America have plowed millions of dollars into their electric vehicle strategies. Pardon me, hiccup. Whether it's new product development, engineering to create lighter, more powerful motors, or investment in new factories, they've all spent a small fortune, and now it's not paying off. But the article is over in QZ.com. It's Owen Bellwood from Jalopnik actually wrote this article, but again, it's posted over at Quartz, QZ.com. And we've talked about this before, mainly because of the cost of operating an EV and its 5 to 10 year price post consumption, right? So at about 5 to 10 years, it's going to have to replace the battery, which costs somewhere around $7,000 to $15,000 for the battery, not necessarily full replacement. That was a couple of years ago now. But it says U.S. automakers lose roughly $6,000 on every $50,000 EV they sell in America, according to a new report from analyst firm Boston Consulting Group. That figure comes hotly on the heels of a similar sky-high losses from companies like Rivian and Lucid, and the fact that it was Hertz that bowed out, which is really interesting.
Oh, right.
Because their name is Hertz. They bowed out of the EV market. They're divesting themselves of their EVs, and the CEO was ousted because of it. So, yeah, although they still left with a wonderful golden parachute. Again, greed. So, rather worrying, the report from BCG warned that those losses are likely to continue well into the next generation of supposedly cheaper, more efficient electric cars. We don't have the thing that I think is really impacting everybody is the fact that you have range anxiety and the infrastructure isn't there, and you have to spend $6,000 to have a charging station embedded in your garage. There's all kinds of friction. You know how to remedy that? You either make it a freaking hybrid that has the same power as an EV, but is charged by a gas engine that will not lower the cost. It'll lower the consumption of gasoline, because it's more efficient to use that generator to charge up the EV's batteries than it is to drive a car around under an ICE or internal combustion engine. So you use this hybrid configuration, and you don't have to stop at a charging station or build out the infrastructure to support it. You can still wean yourself off of gasoline, although I think the greedy bastards will jack the price up to $12 a gallon, which is still cheaper than what happens in the EU. It's really expensive per liter there. A gallon is really expensive in the EU.
Right, like it makes gas look cheap in the US.
Yeah, yeah. EU and UK, it's expensive there. At any rate, the reason for this is because of all of this friction. Nobody's learned the lesson. We need fast swap batteries or we need hybrid. Just switch to hybrid. They should have all focused on hybrid. You park your
right,
car.
it's like everybody jumped into the EV, but nobody was really ready for it.
Yep. You park your car and the hybrid engine just sits there chugging away, charging up your batteries. You can park it out somewhere. You know, you don't use the hybrid charging component when it's in your garage. Just like you don't run an ICE vehicle in your garage without really good ventilation. But this whole problem is because of the again, I'll just say it, the friction associated with EVs. You know, Rivian's, it says Rivian loses $33,000 on every truck it sells. How can it even operate?
That's what doesn't make any sense. It said Lucid lost some ridiculous amount of money but above there. That was farther up.
Oh, really? Yeah, let's find it.
$400,000.
Lucid topped that figure with an eye-watering $400,000 losses on each car sold. Come on. It isn't a $400,000 car. It's the good Lucids are, well, the really good Lucids are around 125,000, I think. That's crazy. But they must be amortizing their infrastructure on each of these sales.
Right.
They say that's a pretty damning insight on the electric car market across America and could explain why a company such as Ford is reportedly changing its tact and switching from big, expensive EVs to smaller, cheaper models. What they're talking about in this little paragraph is then there's the impact of looming Chinese imports to consider, market prices that will likely contract further. Well, they've got a managed economy. It's not free open market. It's run by the CCP, etc.
They don't have as many safety and environmental regulations.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah. There's quality of life differences between the Chinese economic model and business model and, well, everything, and the United States and EU and UK, etc. So economies of scale as automakers ramp up production will help too, except that they are doing it fundamentally wrong. I'm telling you, it's going to take them 5 more years, maybe 10, before they realize that it's an idiotic proposal to try and build out a massive energy grid without having the ability to fulfill the obligations of fast charging within 5 to 10 minutes versus 2 hours, 45 minutes, 30 minutes is too damn long. And then you don't even have the energy production capabilities to facilitate what is currently set up for internal combustion vehicles. So if I can't drive reliably nearly 400 miles on a tank of gas, it's a lost cause. And if I have to drive 400 miles on a tank of, EV and then sit for 2 hours to get to 80% of my battery and then another 3 hours for it to top off at 100%, you're out of your freaking mind. This race was lost before it started, and a whole lot of EV owners are going to regret it because their batteries are going to die, and it's not as easy to replace a battery as people think. And the cost is going to go up.
Yeah, they're thinking they're just going to resell their vehicle, and no, they're going to pretty much scrap it and have to buy a new vehicle.
Yep. That's
or
exactly
a new battery.
Oh, man. This is going to be a nightmare in 5 more years.
Well, think about all the waste from all the vehicles, too.
Well, that's actually something in another show. So let's get going. We've got 2 more articles. The next one is in ohmTown Daily. Scientists name newly discovered ancient amphibian species after Kermit the Frog. That's right. Scientists have discovered a new species of proto-amphibian that lived 270 million years ago, and they've named it Kermitops gratis after the Muppet Show character Kermit the Frog. The new discovery should help scientists understand how these ancient species evolved. I don't know how they do this. They're looking at fossils, for crying out loud. Anyway.
Right, that they can compare it to whatever was there at 260 million years ago or whenever.
I guess. Paleontologists at the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History found the ancient amphibians' ancestors' fossilized skull while searching through the museum's archives, according to a statement released by the museum. The article's over
in contrast to the river dolphins, right? They didn't go on an expedition. They went into their archives.
Yeah. They went into that room over there and said, hey, I just saw a fossil of a skull. We believe it to be 270 million years old based on where somebody accidentally put the decimal
or something.
Cameron Manley over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together, and here's a picture of Kermit the Frog going, I know that. No, I don't want to know that person. The new discovery should help scientists understand. So, again, I'll just say it. I have no idea how anybody can figure out how this is going to change the dynamic. But apparently it says the skull, which measures around an inch long, has oval-shaped eye sockets, was first discovered by Nicholas Houghton III, a paleontologist and curator at the Smithsonian in 1984. He unearthed the skull while exploring the red beds, a fossil-rich rock outcrop in Texas. Oh, wow, this article is really... Oh, no, there's more. Houghton discovered so many fossils that they were not able to study them all in detail. It spent 40 years sitting in the museum's archives. So somebody stumbled in there, hey, what's in this drawer? And they determined that the fossil was Temnospondyl, a type of amphibian that resembled a giant toad with a 1-inch head. All right. But it has unique features. The part of the skull where the animal's eye sockets were much shorter than its elongated snout, leading them to believe that its new genus, and they called it Kermitops gratis. It resembled a stout salamander.
Do you think Kermit would appreciate that?
I am not a stout salamander. Kermit the Frog could be heard in response to being called a stout salamander.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, because this animal is a distant relative of today's amphibians and Kermit is a modern day amphibian icon, it was a perfect name for it.
I do like when they name species after known things. I know there can be some downsides to that, but I think it's a good way to get the public interested in science.
Yeah, I agree. Let's keep going. Last article for today's ohmTown Daily News Show. Technology Today is where this article is housed, but it's actually from SciTech Daily. Archaeologists unearthed 3,000-year-old Stilt Village frozen in time. When I saw this title, I thought, I hope when they say frozen in time, it's like in a house where they go, wait, there's a room behind this wall. And they tear down the room or the wall and they go, this room is from 1908. Right? And there's like furniture and paper and stuff like that.
Right. Like it's a full setting or whatever.
Right. Like your kid goes to college and doesn't come back at all for 4 years. Comes back a fully fledged, self-sufficient, hopefully human adult. Because at 18, we still think kids are kids. Anyway, so they come back from college and they see their room and they're like, nobody's touched this in 4 years, right? That's kind of what I expect. Bubblegum still stuck underneath the desk and stuff like that. Major report from the remains of a stilt village that was engulfed in flames almost 3,000 years ago reveals an unprecedented detail of the daily lives. It was engulfed in flames, apparently frozen in time. All right. University of Cambridge is where the article was written, posted by SciTech Daily. Oh, that is awesome. It literally is frozen in time. This is the roller coaster of doing the show like this. The entire hamlet stood approximately 2 meters above the riverbed, with walkways bridging some of the main houses, and was surrounded by a 2-meter high fence of sharpened posts. That's the keep out, the barbed wire of today. So the settlement was less than a year old when it was destroyed by a catastrophic fire, with buildings and their contents collapsing into the muddy river below. The combination of charring and waterlogging led to an exceptional preservation. The site has been described as Britain's Pompeii. An intact, hafted axe that has been placed in the silt directly beneath Structure 1, perhaps a token of good fortune, or an offering to some kind of spirit on completion of the build. So it says that it was placed in the silt directly beneath Structure 1. Interesting. So this was an axe. Pretty interesting. So I guess the idea is they put it there after everything was built and maybe they used
like at the
this.
completion of the project.
Yeah, like a sacrifice, but they used this as that offering. That's amazing. Hey, everything's done. Bury the axe. Hey, let's bury the axe.
Oh, it might be coming from the site.
I'm going to have to go look up the etymology of that. So years of research conducted on thousands of artifacts from the site now shown that early fen folk had surprisingly comfortable lifestyles with domestic layouts similar to modern homes, meals of honey-glazed venison, clothes of fine flax linen, and even a recycling bin. Oh, the 1%ers of the yesteryear. Cambridge archaeologists say the site provides a unique blueprint for circular architecture, home interiors, etc. Cool. Full findings from the Must Farm site, excavated by the Cambridge Archaeological Unit, or CAU, in 2015 to 16 after its discovery on the edge of the Whittlesey near Peterborough. I love those locations. Are published in 2 reports, both made available by Cambridge's MacDonald Institute for Archaeological Research. A member of the CAU, there's a picture here of one of the members holding up what appears to be a pot recovered from a kitchen area in one of the roundhouses. It's pretty neat.
It would be neat to see a picture of the actual structures, but maybe they're completely demolished and there's just the setting for them.
I think it's just the debris.
Mm-hmm.
Because it burned to the ground. So they have the locations of the various structures only because of the debris that's been found, which is pretty typical of these older unearthed locations. A lot of what happens is the wood, even if it wasn't burned and it was subsurface, it decomposes, and when you clear away the soil, the only reason you know that it's a wood post is because there's discoloration. And so it changes the texture and the color of the ground. It's quite fascinating that these people become so effective in reviewing this stuff as they're cleaning that if you or I were walking by, we would have no idea. Oh, look. But they know what they're looking for.
Right,
and they're
there's
very
a
careful.
piece of wood or a piece of metal or whatever, but it's actually an artifact.
Yep, it's really amazing. So the article is actually pretty long, and they talk about toolkits, textiles, and a token of good luck. That was that axe that they are surmising was buried intentionally. They say that there's no evidence of humans that died in the fire, but apparently sheep had been trapped. So other than that, something catastrophic happened to this, and they moved on. If you're ever looking for something to stir your writing, juices, then you could write something about this event. I'm always looking for stuff like that, writing prompts. But you know what? I need to fix something. I didn't put the last 3 articles into the chat. Sorry about that. So if you're watching the VOD, now is when these posts are gonna, or these links are gonna show up. So sorry about that. I have yet to figure out how I can do this in an automated fashion. If I program a button to post it, then it might do the wrong one at the wrong time, but I guess anything is better than not posting them. So they found meaty porridge and signs of life. So the researchers say that while the Bronze Age could have been violent and aspects of the site's structure are clearly defensive, its location may be much more to do with resources. Spears found at the site, up to 3.4 meters in length, as well as swords, were likely to be used in animal hunts, as on rival groups. A few human remains were recovered, including a skull of an adult woman, polished by repeated touch, it says. A sign that maybe it was a keepsake of love rather than war. Yep, that's enough.
I also saw a reference to mosquitoes, so
Did you really?
we're definitely having a mosquito theme going, yes.
Yeah, maybe they had Zika. Man, maybe they burned the whole place down because of the damn mosquitoes. Somebody was like,
There
I'm
you
going to get
go.
rid of these mosquitoes, and they got rid of the entire village. Okay, everybody, back into your party bus, and we're going to race down Main Street. And I'm not going to refresh. You can do that. Go over to ohmTown.com, become a citizen, and you can manage all of this yourself. What's really neat about ohmTown is that you can swipe left or right, save or hide articles. They go into a unique layout. See it like that right there, because I have the site zoomed in. Hold on, I'll zoom out. You can basically save articles or ignore articles, and you can submit news directly to Mayor Watt. I'll review it and include it, and even start aggregating news based on user feedback. So be sure to go over to ohmTown.com and become a citizen. In the meantime, go over to YouTube, like, subscribe. Please like our videos. It does an amazing amount of benefit for the success of the channel overall, the shows, and all other component parts, because now we're up to 5 different shows, 6 different shows, 7 different shows.
We have 6 shows plus the daily.
Yeah, so we're up to 7. And right after this one is going to be the continuity report in about 15 minutes. So we're going to get out of here, reset for the new show, and off we go. I'm Mayor Watt, and up there is the sentient AI that's about to say bye.
Bye-bye. We'll see you shortly for continuity report.
Cheers, everybody. I'm going to go bury an axe under the mayoral mansion in honor of its completion.